We're doing that part. We're utilizing technology, but I know you have this other passion for the wild. So how does the wild come into all of this?
I mean, if it were possible, and I'm working to make it possible, I would close this computer for good, and I would throw my phone in the fucking ocean, and you can find me on my land with like a shovel in my hand, man. Like that's the vision. That's where we're headed here. And you're right. Like the capacity to share and connect digitally. I mostly mean what I just said, but also, here we are. I found myself and my soul and my most unlocked version of myself in the wilds when I was 13. It was the first time I ever went on a real wilderness trip. It was a canoe trip in the Boundary Waters in northern Minnesota. And it blew the lid off. Like I just had no idea, I had no idea I could feel that way. And it's just been a beacon in my life ever since I was I'm so grateful that I had that at that time. And then when I became a young man and graduated college, my first career was that of a wilderness therapy guide, right? So I spent 5 years leading groups of young men in like very legitimate wilderness scenarios. The longest I ever did was about 47 days. And it's just that it's actually really simple for me. So like out there, I find that I don't have to work to surrender. I find that I don't have to sort of like effort to, I wake up and I feel a surge of love and, whatever. It's just, there's just this life, right? And
there's a connection.
Yeah, man. And the other places in my life where I've had similar ease in terms of opening up and connecting is in circles of men and then as a father, right? And probably also with my wife or with, in that one-on-one connection too. But it just makes sense. It's just always been as easy as breathing. And I had a lot of reps, right? Even as a young man. So spent 800, 900 days in nature in groups of dudes, right? So I just kind of patterned who I am. And it's interesting though. So I'm 42. I just turned 42. And for the first time in my life, I am less inclined to go away from home. I feel like now I'm just sort of saving that up to take my kids, right? Like all of the outdoor adventures, like there's some, like I run a couple hunts every year and I still do some for myself, but literally the thing that like moves the needle inside of me more than anything, like I'm planning our first wilderness canoe camping trip with my family, my whole family this summer. I can't fucking wait, cool. Man. No.
Is it Boundary Waters?
Close. So it's in Maine, but it's like a similar, it's a similar vibe, but
similar style.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I recall that you did Boundary Waters, like maybe as a young man.
I did, yeah, and then I guided there in my 20s a little bit too. Have you been? Do you know the Boundary Waters?
No, I have not been. It's a part of a brother Kevin Calibri. He leads Passage.
Yeah,
and he takes a bunch of Sacred Sons guys out every year.
Nice. Yeah, it's a special spot.
Yeah, that part about not going out on the mission quite as much and bringing it home. Mm-hmm. Like I think that's super healthy. I also think it's like that's the maturing process, right?
It seems to be. I mean, you're catching me square in the middle of a midlife crisis, like fucking right in it, man. Like acutely in the middle of it.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. But that's a big part of it.
What is that like? What are the defining characteristics of this crisis you find yourself in?
Well, that's an easy one to start with, right? Which is just like my inner primal compass just doesn't want to go away from home. It just wants to be there with the family on the property, like, and it's like actually painful. Right? This last weekend, I had a gig, which is kind of like a dream gig. I'm mentoring 3 brothers, young men, for a couple years, and it's this year I get to take a rite of passage trip with each one of them individually. And I took one to go do a free diving course on Catalina Island, like beautiful place, exciting, so fun, like dream job. Like, it's just like, it's exactly what I would want to be doing with my professional life, like in a million ways. And, just have to like tear myself away from my family though. It's just like so hard to get on a plane. But that's only part of the midlife thing. I am just finding that, very little makes sense right now, right? Like what I've done to get by, how I've set up things in my business, I think luckily we've made a lot of like close to the heart and gut decisions, right? So I'm not finding myself like a long way off of like where I am authentically, but there's enough of it right now that it's really destabilizing. You know, it's just like, holy shit. Yeah. What worked before doesn't now. And I don't know what will necessarily, you know? So, it's kind of wild.